Hi everyone. Welcome to our first community call for WildFly. First, a quick introduction. My name is Jeff Menil. I'm a software engineer at IBM working on WildFly. And we have started this community call, so I would like to make just a short introductions about the purpose of this call. WildFly is an open source project for running enterprise Java application. Development is done publicly. All our developer channels are public, and we have a vibrant user community for quite a long time. We set up that call because we want to involve more our users in the life of the project. So this call is an opportunity to bring closer users and developers, having announcements around the project and its whole ecosystem, having demos and presentations of upcoming features, and also ideas that we would like to get more feedback on. So it's really an opportunity for WildFly developers to showcase what we are working on, and also for users to give their feedback on how they're using WildFly and the improvements that we would like to see from the project. This call will happen every 2 weeks on Thursday. It will be recorded and uploaded on our YouTube channel, so if you can't attend the call, you can still watch it later on YouTube. The agenda will always follow the same pattern, with some community announcements and what's going on around the project. Then we have an agenda with 1 or 2 discussions topic. We will leave some time at the end of the meeting if there's any outstanding questions or things that we would like to mention. And we will hard stop the meeting around 50 minutes after that. And the meeting starts on time. So thanks. So let's get started with the actual meeting. So around community announcements, I want to remind people that we have a calendar on wildfly.org that showcase the different dates around the project, the releases, the beta and final dates. We have also the links, the invitations to the community call. So I encourage you to subscribe to this calendar to be notified of the upcoming events. Then we have Renabir that wanted to announce the WildFly participations to Oktoberfest. Renabir, do you mind introduce yourself first?
So my name is Ranveer Chakravarti, and I'm a software developer working in IBM. I work in WildFly as well as in WildFly core upstream, as well as mostly in downstream JBAP, which is famously known as JBoss. Apart from that, my work involved in the internal CI/CD pipelines, and as well as in Ansible middleware collections, which we make in order to make the middleware products much more efficient to use. Yeah, so that's all about myself.
So do you want to mention how WildFly will participate to October?
Yeah, sure. This October, WildFly community is gearing up with 13 projects officially participating this time. So that means even more opportunity for the contributors. So whether you can be a brand new open source or probably a experienced developer. And as always, in the last week of this month, I mean the September, we'll publish an article with all the related details, and there will be plenty of good first issues to help you out to get started. And always, we also have a contribution MD file and guidelines to walk you through the first contribution list. And also, whether you want to deep dive to WildFly or other projects, there are plenty of opportunity for everyone. Apart from that, what Hacktoberfest is annual event that encourages developer. You can be beginner or expert to contribute in open source project, which will be listed in GitHub or GitLab. It will be the whole event will be organized throughout the October month, and registered time has already started. Today is 18th September, and it has started from September 15th. It will be there for October 31st. In between that, you register yourself, and this this year, the Hacktoberfest already said that you need to submit six high quality peers in order to eligible for a digital badge, as well as you can also, if you are from the first 10,000 contributors, then you will be eligible to get a Hacktoberfest t-shirt. That's a good news as well. Or you can choose to plant a tree. So if you want to know more about WildFly projects and how WildFly project and other related projects are participating this time, so I will say check out the wildfly.org website in order to get our article as soon as possible, and also try to join the Julep chat room to get more insights about our participation. And I have also added the chat room and the participation link in the note itself, calendar note itself. You can go through it. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, is it aware how many times have we participated to the Oktoberfest?
So we have started this initiative back in 2022. So it's been, if you consider 25, then it will be 4 times. I'm not sure earlier we have participated or not, because Hacktoberfest started in 2016. So we are actively participating for 2022. So we started with 5 projects, and right now we are going to participating this time with 13 projects. So it's a big jump for us. And also in a contribution side as well, we are getting many contributors, new country face contribution each and every year. So that's also a good news.
Okay, so let's try to break our records for the number of contributions for this year.
Yeah, true.
Thanks, Ranabir. Then we have Brian to discuss the WildFly 38 release. And Brian, can you also introduce yourself, please?
Sure. So I'm Brian Stansberry. I work for IBM, and I'm the lead of the WildFly project, and I'm also the architect of Red Hat's JBoss EAP project, our product. So I've been doing this a long time, apparently 20 years. So I go all the way back to JBoss Inc. back before, when JBoss was run by an independent company, basically focused on, well, even at that time it had more than the app server, but so I've been doing this for a long time. I'm based in the U.S. in St. Louis, Missouri. So I'm in the call as wildfly.org. I had to join the call as the organization that's hosting the meeting, which I'll try to figure out how to make. I can join as a human next time. So what I want to talk about is just the WildFly 38 release, just dates and things like that. Which that kind of thing will be a recurring topic in these calls for sure, just a way to socialize schedules and things like that. So what's upcoming is next week on Wednesday we have it's basically called the feature freeze, which is basically the day when pull requests need to be ready for any features that will be going into WildFly 38. And we want those available next week so that we can get them into the WildFly 38 beta. The WildFly 38 beta will be coming out the following week. I believe that the intent, yes, somebody's circling that on the calendar. Thank you. So the beta should be available on the download site and such on the 2nd of October. That's our target.
Okay.
And then the week following that, we have another freeze, and that's to get things into the final. So our WildFly finals always come out about, the target is always to have them out 2 weeks after the beta, which we consistently do. So the target for having WildFly 38 final out the door is the 16th of October.
Okay, that's great because it coincides with our community call. So we'll be able to celebrate that.
It's very true.
Thanks. Okay, so now moving on to the agenda of the call. First, Brian, you wanted to give an update on the WildFly governance. Do you want me to share your slides, or will you share it yourself?
Yeah, let me see if I can share.
Okay.
Seems easier. All right. Looks good to me. Hopefully everybody can see that. So this hopefully should be fairly quick and straightforward. It's a slide deck, but I want it to be pretty simple. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just basically an update on changes we're making to how the WildFly project is governed. Some background on what we're doing, and then just a little bit of a status update. Okay, so the context for all this is that last spring, WildFly moved from a model where it was sponsored by a single vendor, meaning Red Hat, to sponsorship by a vendor-neutral open source foundation, the Common House Foundation. And really what this meant a couple things. One, it meant that Red Hat transferred ownership of various intellectual property type things like trademarks, domain names, control of GitHub repos, control of social media accounts, and things like that from itself to Common House. That was done via something called an asset transfer agreement. And then myself and Tom Jenkinson, who's also here on the call, we signed a legal agreement on behalf of the WildFly project with Common House. It's called a fiscal sponsorship agreement. And basically in that agreement, they agreed to sponsor WildFly, and we agreed to operate WildFly in accordance with Common House's requirements, being good open source citizens, doing things according to their rules. Since that happened, we've been working on various onboarding tasks to bring our projects. We have hundreds of, maybe hundreds of different repositories make up WildFly, but definitely dozens into compliance with Common House's requirements. Things like making sure we have contributing guides and we install their bots and things like that. And one of the things we need to do is we need to update our project governance policies and publish those in all our repos. And basically what we need to do is we need to replace the old governance model that we've operated under for a long time, where Red Hat would appoint the project lead, which doesn't make any sense anymore. If Red Hat isn't the sponsor of the project, vendor neutral projects shouldn't have one vendor appointing the project lead, right? So that's the key thing we have to do, is change that process. And then we've, over the years, of course, we've had many informal practices that we've had. And we want to, write those down a little bit and formalize them, which is a good thing to do regardless of this change to Common House. An interesting thing about this that people might not be fully aware of is the scope of what was moved under the two agreements I mentioned before, the asset transfer and the fiscal sponsorship, was more than just what people might think of as the traditional WildFly application server project. It included a number of other projects that have their own independent identities and are used elsewhere and have their own names. Iron Jackamar, Jay Beret, Nariana, Tom's here, I can't forget Nariana, Rest Easy, Undertowed Weld, big name projects that are used in lots of places. Those are all incorporated in the single transfer. And the leads and the communities behind those all agreed as part of that they would choose just a single person to serve on. Common House has its own government structure, and that includes something called an extended governance committee. And basically all those people come under one representative on that committee, all those projects. So then we had to come up with a term to cover this concept of all these projects cooperating together, and the one we've come up with, for lack of imagination, is the WildFly Common House organization. So if you hear a term reference to that, that's what we're talking about. We're basically talking about the fact that for these projects are cooperating somewhat in how we work with Common House. Okay, so what that means is there's going to be multiple governance documents that we need to create, different policies. One kind of top level one for the WildFly Common House organization, and then each top level project, the ones I listed in the previous slide, Nariana and Weld, etc., and then the AS itself, will each have their own, and those individual documents will more describe how that particular project governs itself. So the goal is not to have the WildFly Common House organization imposing tons and tons of policies on all the individual projects. As much as possible, we want the individual projects to have their own, retain their own way of doing things that they've had for many years successfully, and not impose a lot of stuff from the WildFly Common House organization. So An output of all this is we're going to have something called a governance MD document for every one of these. And what's in that, there's various stuff, but the most important stuff is some kind of description about how the project makes decisions, what kind of processes it follows for making decisions, how it goes about deciding things, outline what the various roles in the project are, concept of there's a lead and in WildFly we have component leads and we have something called a maintainer, which is a word for person. Roughly means somebody who has merge rights, right permissions. Okay. And then describe who's eligible for the roles, how you decide who gets the role, how do you decide that somebody stops having a role, that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that we're discussing and covering. Okay, all that context, now I can get to the meat of all this. So just a status update is really what this is all about. So back in July, I drafted some governance language in a Google Doc, and I socialized that on the dev lists in various places. And we had a community call where we discussed it. We've had various discussions in different ways, and got quite a bit of feedback about it. Then everybody went away or at least I went away for August PTO. We also created a repo in the WildFly GitHub organization, basically just to store things related to governance. We want to have a centralized location for storing various files and things so people can go there to see how the project works. Then the real news here is this week I got back to this topic and I incorporated all the various feedback we picked up in July and August. And I created 2 pull requests to the government's repo, one for the WildFly Common House Organization Government and one for the WildFly AS project. Basically taking proposed government's MD document and some related files. And then yesterday I wrote the dev list, called for input, and a proposed path for adoption. That's just my suggestion. We'll discuss it and see what people think. Or to have a couple more weeks for comments and revisions to the PRs, and then basically kick off a 2-week approval period. So ideally a month from now, we would have at least these 2 in place. Other things to do, we also need to, there is this maintainer role, and one thing we want to do as part of this is have an audit of all the people with right permissions to the various projects. That's something we want to kick off the process of doing that, or just doing a check on everybody who has right permissions. Does that still make sense? Are they still active? All that kind of thing. So that's something I hope to kick off in the next week. And your input is wanted. So that's the key thing. Please have a look at those PRs or follow the WildFly dev list and let us know what you think, because definitely we want to hear from as many people as possible. Okay, I don't know how we are for time, and I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I'm happy to take any if anybody does.
Yeah, I'm repeating what you wrote in the mail, but input is wanted, even if it's just a thumbs up in the PRs, that you have at least agree and you read the document and agree on that. I suggest any contributors, developers, and also users of WildFly to see that, because I think it's a good way to see how we want to operate the project.
Yes, yeah, yes, thank you for that, because a lot of times people silence is approval, and definitely it's much better for if you think it's okay, say something,
Yeah.
And just for context, I'll take a little bit of time. Common House, the way they do things on some of their issues is they basically use GitHub emoji reactions, where they say if you're in favor, do a thumbs up. If you've got this is interesting, you can use the googly eye thing. And then if you have concerns, you use the pull request review feature to say, I would like this fixed. And that's kind of the way they do this kind of approval process. So it is very easy. You just do the little emoji reaction on the PR description. So maybe that's what we'll do too. It seems useful, and it's lightweight, so people who just want to say, yeah, it's a simple click to do it. So.
Okay. I will add the links to the PRs in the call agenda. I think it's a great way to resource to have.
Thank you.
Any questions or comments about this governance update? Okay. then in that case, we can go back to the agenda. So next we have Jean-François that wanted to do a presentation of a catalog for WildFly. What do you mean by that, Jean-François? And again, do you mind introducing yourself first?
Sure. I am sharing my screen. It will be easier because I have some demo too. Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So yes, I am Jean-François Denise. I am a Java developer since a long time now. I have joined the WildFly. Oh, actually, I have a slide for it. I have joined the WildFly JBoss EAP team now nearly 9 years ago, and mainly involved in tooling. And when I look at the list of tools I am involved in, I think except the WildFly CLI, they are all bound to provisioning in a way or another. So what I am going to speak right now is infusing in nearly all our tools. Provisioning is an important aspect of WildFly. So when I speak about provisioning, I mean the ability to install a custom WildFly. So it can be a trimmed down WildFly, something that is smaller, adjust to your application. But it can be also an extended WildFly. We have an ecosystem. I am going to describe a bit this ecosystem, where you can enrich your server with some extension and subsystem that are not packaged inside the WildFly server. The majority of subsystems are in WildFly, but thanks to provisioning, you are able to extend the capabilities of your server. So let's go back to the slide presentation. So here we are speaking about a provisioning catalog. So that's a project we have started recently. We are currently working on it. And we want to offer a single entry point to this provisioning ecosystem. So the motivation behind this project can be summarized by a set of questions. This ecosystem is quite large, it's quite technical. We have the information on the internet, but spread out a bit in various documentation. And if you want to answer some simple questions, such as what are the Galean feature pack I can use with WildFly tooling? For a given WildFly version, it can be quite hard to, you will find the information, but it will be not in an aggregated and centralized way. We have also, it's a bit unrelated to provisioning, but we have also this WildScribe. I can click on it. That's the WildFly server management meta model, where you will find the descriptions and types and so on of all the resources and attributes you can set when configuring your WildFly server. So we have this information for WildFly, but as I said, the ecosystem is composed of multiple feature packs, and all those other feature packs don't expose this model reference. What are the Galean layers? The Galean layers are a way to identify a feature of the server. And even if you find the name of a Galean layer that can interest you, what it is going to contribute to the server? I mean, what is its impact on the server configuration? What are the JBoss modules it is going to provision? We don't have this information today. And we are also addressing an issue not only for users of provisioning, but for developers that are developing feature packs. You want to expose this meta model, this model reference for your own subsystems. Today you can't. With this project, you are going to be able to do. So how do we answer those questions? At two levels. One level that is a bit low, a lower level, it's when building feature pack, we are going to enrich the output with some information and even some way to locally browse this metadata and meta model. And then an online catalog that we imagine to put in place for each WildFly release that aggregate all the information, so from a single entry point, navigate to everything. So I will provide a bit of details on what we are doing when enriching feature pack generation. So we are generating some documentation and package and metadata and package that into a new classifier that we are expecting feature pack developer to deploy along their feature pack. It contains metadata.json, general information on your feature pack, the layers, their dependencies, much more, and the management model, that's new. And the model.json, that is the model reference. So if you are familiar with WildFly management model, that is the output of the read description. So the read description of your server will output this meta model that we are rendering thanks to a HTML page that is also contained in this doc artifact. So advantage of this new feature, you can do some local browsing of your feature pack. If you wish, you can take this output and expose it in your GitHub project of your feature pack. So you have a local documentation of your feature pack. And this deployed information is the source of information for the online catalog, the catalog that I will demonstrate. So this online catalog, as I said, for each WildFly version, you will find all the feature pack linked to management model reference, all the layers, and we are introducing some categories because we start to have perhaps hundreds of layers, and it's difficult to navigate. Even inside the single feature pack, it can be challenging. So we are grouping. This set of categories can be revisited. I mean, it's a starting point. But we imagine security, Jakarta AI, clustering, and so on. So for each layer, you will find its content, a link to the meta model to understand what it actually does, the dependencies. If you are familiar with WildFly Glow, you perhaps know that we have add-ons, so the ability to enrich what WildFly Glow is discovering. This kind of information will be also exposed in the catalog. And the ability to configure a layer. A layer can be configured with environment variable system properties to set an actual attribute. The catalog is going to clearly expose what you can do. And it is searchable. Okay, so last slide, then the demo. So as I said, no, I didn't say about that, but we already have an existing GitHub project that we call the WildFly Galleon Feature Packs repository that contains already for each WildFly version the set of feature packs that are known to work well. So that is the ecosystem. This is what WildFly Glow is using internally to discover feature packs. So we are going to leverage this repository. So we are sharing the same information that WildFly Glow is using. And we leverage this new generation of metadata and model that each feature pack is deploying to aggregate all that and expose at a given URL. So demo, I am going to show you the two levels. So first, I am going to put myself into the shoes of a feature pack developer, and then I will browse the current online catalog we have. So I am using for the demonstration the WildFly AI feature pack. I didn't develop a feature pack from scratch. We have a bunch of feature pack. So when you build your feature pack, oh, Jeff, you have a question? Sure.
Yes, just to give some context, the AI feature pack brings AI capabilities like long-chain 4J to WildFly, but it's something that is outside of the WildFly default installation. So that's typically something that you want to provision to extend the capability of WildFly to do AI injections in your enterprise Java applications.
Yeah, thank you, Jen. So I have built, and we can see that we have a special artifact with the doc classifier that I am going to unzip, and I am going to browse it locally. Okay, so I am, yes, let me go back. So in the target, I have the TMP doc. So what can we find? We find the meta with metadata.json, so raw JSON files that contains feature pack description, management model of each layer, the way they are configured, and so on. The metadata.json, as I said, that's the output of, metadata model.json. That's the output of the read description. So you will find all the attributes, operation, capabilities, all the dependencies in a JSON format. So that is a piece of information that our catalog aggregator, I will show after, will use. But you have also the ability to do some local browsing. So we have a documentation for the AI feature pack for WildFly. We can see its Maven coordinates in case you want to depend on it in your Maven project. The feature pack location, that is an XML extract to be used with the WildFly Maven plugin. So the tools you can use this documentation to compose your tooling configuration. Access to the model reference. So we can navigate to the AI subsystem. We can see there are a lot of kind of resource. You can access the chat model, and we can see that you can set an API key with a description of what. So typical, but the new thing is that it's for this specific feature pack. Then we have a flat list of all the layers, and you can navigate, and for each layers, you can see its dependencies, some layer metadata, and what are the JBoss modules it is going to provision. Okay, so that's the local experience when you are a WildFly developer. But I am going to go back and now show you the online catalog. So for now, that is my own fork. It's in the JF Denis organization, but obviously at some point it is going to move. And you can, on the About box there, link to the index of the WildFly catalog. So we did some proof of concept for 3 versions, and now we have the latest one. That is the 38 beta 1 snapshot. Everything has been built locally and so on. So the catalog exposes some link to the WildFly documentation and the provisioning tooling, Glow and Maven plugin. It can evolve. It's just an example of documentation. And then we have all the feature packs that are part of the ecosystem. And it's not a curated list. It's really everything that Glow can discover. So for each feature pack, you have general information on it. We can find same information that what I presented in the local browsing. You can access to the model reference of WildFly. General information, the set of layers. I will not redo what I did locally. You can do the same. What I want to show you is that we have okay, so you have all that for each feature pack. Each feature pack, if we go to look at the, let's say, GraphQL, we have a model reference where you can find the GraphQL small I subsystem and description. So for each feature pack that defined subsystem, you will find this information. And then we have the actual content of layer, all the details I was speaking about. In category, we have grouped the layers. So let's look at those two categories. We have cloud, clustering, database, and more. In the AI category, I can see a set of layers. I am interested by Gemini chat model because my application, I want to use Gemini. That is defined in this feature pack. It does some dependencies, that's fine. I can access to the management model, so I see what, if I provision this layer, is going to be added to the WildFly server standalone.xml configuration. So I will see the AI subsystem with a Gemini chat model resource named Gemini with 4 attributes that are set. But what this log request attribute mean? You can navigate to the meta model, and this time you will see what is the information. So you can see that we used to have some information all around the place. You can navigate fully from the catalog. That's the management model. Glow rules, if you are, we are using that for the search, but if you are interested in how Glow is mapping from your deployment to a layer, we are exposing this information. The configuration, this is what I was mentioning. Perhaps we can look again to the management model. We can see that the API key, there is an expression. You can set an environment variable. For log request, you can set a system property or an environment variable. And we are exposing that in a more user-friendly way where you find the attribute name and what is the environment variable. If you have a choice, it will be system properties or environment variable. Okay, so yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think that one is very important to mention because, for example, for a lot of things, we don't want to have information in the WildFly configurations. We don't want to have your API keys or user credentials. So we make it easy to do that with environment variables so that you can take your application and deploy that and connect to different database or AI models without having to tweak your WildFly configuration every time.
Yeah.
So it's a very useful piece of information.
Yeah, environment variables are really heavily used in a cloud context, where that is really the way to configure your server in your pod. Okay, so I think I covered one. What I wanted to show you, how perhaps I can highlight one thing. AI feature pack is for now experimental. It's not yet part of the officially stable feature packs in the ecosystem. So you can find this information as experimental. And in the search, you have this notion of stability that is typical to WildFly, where we have experimental feature, preview feature, community feature, and even default feature. So when it's written minimum stability level, it means that experimental, we want to see them all. All whatever the stability level. But if you want, you can say no, I just want community stuff. And this time, the set of category is trimmed, and we can see that AI doesn't appear. But we can see base WildFly server as the first one. It's alphabetical order. You will see. So now I want to do some RESTful things. So do I have stuff to do some REST? Oh, I found 3 match in 3 different categories. So the base WildFly server are layers that aggregate a set of layers to answer a typical use case. If you want to access to a database and do JAX-RS, we have this JAX-RS server layer that does the job. But we also have, if you have a more fine-grained approach, where you don't want to use this kind of pre-configured layer that will do it, but perhaps has more than what you really want, you can use directly the JAX-RS layer. So now if I want to do some batch, he found a match in the Jakarta EE category. There is this batch Giberet that is of good stability default, that is more stable than community. We can see the layers dependencies in case you are curious about it. We can see its management model, and I have been always interested by what keep alive time means. And again, you can navigate to the management model. Okay, so I think you get, I hope that you get the power and how it is going to really make, when you have a question, when you are unsure if we have this feature, you will be able to browse, even if the search doesn't find it, because we are missing some keywords, you will be able to scroll and navigate and do stuff. Sure, Jeff.
So I hope I won't crash your demo, but let's say, for example, I want to use Jakarta data. How can I look at the, I know that I'm using the Jakarta data API.
What is the Java package of your?
Jakarta.data. It's a new one, so I'm not sure we have it.
It's preview, so it won't come in a community for filter.
Okay, interesting. So it won't come because we have community. Now, if we look at preview in the stability level, we will have it.
Oh, but Jakarta, I can find it. Jakarta data, it is of stability default.
Okay, sorry, I crushed your demo. Okay.
You didn't cut, but perhaps the catalog showed something. Just to tell you something, Brian, the stability is something that needs to be explicitly set in the layer. So it's not something that we find. So there is a metadata that each layer will embed. And in my POC, I enriched WildFly, but perhaps I put it as default, and actually it should be experimental. Or a preview, sorry. It should be preview. So that's
interesting. Yeah, I guess that's an interesting thing to talk about. Yeah, because what the meaning of the, in other words, you could have something that's default stability of the layer, but what does that mean if it? Okay, I'm sorry, I'm thinking out loud. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
I guess the stability of a layer is really should match the minimum stability of the things that it installs into the configuration.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about this before. Sorry.
Yeah, oh, sure. But that's something that okay. So we find it, and I am going to show you, Jeff, why we did find it, because there is no Jakarta.data in the metadata, but that's where the glow rule are interesting, because these two rules are what glow will use to find out that you need Jakarta data, and it's pure text. So we found it because we have a pattern matching on the rules. So
I think that one is important, because if you write an enterprise data application, you are using an API and you are not sure, if it's supported by WildFly, if how to configure it. That's an entry point. You just have to specify your package, the package that you want to use, and get information from that.
Yeah, that can be a very good way to start understand the provisioning and find out the right artifacts. Okay. Sorry.
Just back to the stability thing, that is definitely something I think we have to think about how to automate that a bit, because this strikes me as something very much that it's going to fall out of date. If people have to edit the layer configuration, it's going to fall out of date.
Yeah.
Or it'll just be wrong from the beginning, is the other possibility, as is the case here.
As it is, yeah.
So if it can be determined somehow magically by what the layer installs and then introspected and generated by the tool, that would be awesome. Not trivial.
We have WildFly Glow is able to warn if you are not using the right. So I think we have code that will help us integrate that at feature pack build time. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, so I am done for the WildFly catalog. I think one interesting aspect when we are in an AI context is that this catalog actually is two parts. There is a UI we show, and it's actually a JSON file that is very heavy. I don't, for now, I think it's 13%, where you have everything expressed in JSON. So all the aggregation of all the models, all the metadata, everything is there. So I think that it can be some data if people want to use AI and go through this document and find out interesting information. But I want to say that the format will be open and available. Okay, and finally, so that's a work in progress. We hope to target WildFly 39 for the first catalog, online catalog. We really need your input, because if you have ideas, if you have requirements, if you have issues, start to play with the catalog. It's accessible from the project. And log issues against my own fork for now, but we will transfer all that to the official project at some point. And that's it.
Going to the transfer, I think we could already move that to WildFly Extras and incubate that.
Yeah, sure, definitely.
I think that would be a better thing that instead relying on your fork.
Okay.
The second thing, I think, regarding feedback, I think it's already in a very good shape to have a proposal to capture your slides, so that, for example, the questions of stability is properly described with what we want to do. So I think the next step is having a WildFly proposal to gather feedback, not only on your prototype, but on the concept of the catalog we want to achieve.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Thanks, Jean-François. Any other questions? Okay. So going back to the agenda, we are right on time for the end of the meeting. We have still some 2-3 minutes. If there's anything else that people want to discuss or mention. So if no questions, then I can just mention that this doc can be, you can edit or suggest any things you want to talk in the agenda. And if there's things that you want to talk but are not sure when you want to do that, there's a tab to have meeting suggestions, so that you can, for example, describe things that you want to present eventually, so that we can work on the agenda. So don't hesitate to contribute about features that are coming to WildFly, or demos from features that have been, for example, done in WildFly 37, and we want to showcase them. It's a great opportunity to raise awareness about the developments that we are doing. Any other comments? Okay, so I think we can wrap the meeting right in time. So as a reminder, the next meeting will be in 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to seeing you there. Thanks everybody for joining. Bye everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.